Hey guys, and welcome back to the One Pod Life podcast. Now, I must apologise, I've been a bit lazy with this recently, even though I did have some podcasts lined up, just life got in the way, so I apologise, but we're back on track. So, this week's episode is with professional golfer Taylor Carter. We talk about his career so far, where he played at Rochford 100 Golf Club. He shot a 66 or 67 to win one of the tournaments down there, and we got cut to a handicap of +1. We also talk about the tours that he plays on, Mena Tour. The podcast was actually recorded when he was out in Saudi. And also we talk about how his experience from being part of the Zane Scotland Academy. So, hope you guys enjoy this episode, and let's introduce Taylor. So yeah, thanks for coming on and giving us a bit of your time while you're travelling around.
Thanks for having me. Yeah. I know, I'm fortunate.
Yeah,
the great shape at the moment.
Yeah, it is. But yeah, so let's rewind right back to the beginning and find out how you actually started playing golf.
Yeah, I started when I was 12 years old. So my dad's sort of always played. Dad got me into it. Yeah, when I was at 12, at a local club. It was only literally down the road, it's like 1,000 yards away. So got me in there. There was fortunately for me, there was quite a good junior section there at the time. So got into some group coaching to start with, and then started seeing the head pro there, Gary. Saw a couple of lessons with him. I say at the start, I probably wasn't. I was playing football as well at the time, and I was sort of, I think every boy's dream at 12 years old was to be a professional footballer, wasn't it? So yep. I was loving playing football and stuff, but started getting into golf, and then through the summer, obviously, like I said, this good junior section there, so you end up playing loads of comps, loads of medals, little chipping comps, everything like that, and you sort of build a really good environment. So got quite quickly hooked into it, to be fair. Yeah. Within the first summer of doing it, and I think I got my first handicap of 54. I think it went up to that. I'm sure it did.
Right, okay.
As a junior. Yeah. And I remember within 2 weeks, I had back-to-back weeks of my first summer with that handicap where I shot 54 points and 48 points in a Stableford. Okay. And it was ridiculous. I just got chopped massively.
Yep.
But just got really into the competitive side of it. Really enjoyed, like you're saying, similarly with your journey, obviously it's a completely new sport, so just learning, and you sort of get a buzz off of hitting the odd really good shot and holding the putt, holding a chip, and
yep.
I got the buzz of it pretty quickly, really.
No, good stuff. And what golf club was that where you joined at 12?
Ballard Score.
Okay.
In Essex near Southend. So joined there, and then I was probably there for a couple of years, probably 2 or 3 years, and then went to Rochford 100, which was just down the road. Yep. And that was when I really started to get into my golf even more and take it more seriously. Again, there in the county, even in the country, probably had one of the strongest junior sections there was, and all around my sort of age group. So you sort of turn up and there'd be 10 to 20 guys and girls who are all around a similar age group and playing big putting comps, chipping comps. The junior events are really competitive and well supported and stuff. So that sort of really, that was when I started to take it a bit more seriously and a bit more competitively, to be honest.
Okay, so so from the get-go, really, you had that competitive environment around you where you had to perform, which is then obviously going to help you get better at golf, isn't it?
Yeah, I think I was quite lucky with that, really, because there's a lot. I mean, I look at it now. There's a lot of golf clubs now that you just don't see the junior sections that we had. When I was growing up, I think I was just lucky with timing, really.
Yep.
That there was a lot of people around my age group who were at sort of similar levels or better levels, and I look at sort of the club. I look at Rochford now, where I'm still a member, and they've got a lot of great youngsters coming through, but they're at I don't know, they're probably just starting, so 10 to 12 say years old. Mm-hmm. And they've only got 2 or 3 of them that are around sort of 14 to 16, where they're taking it a bit more seriously. So yep. They haven't quite got the environment that I had. So I think I was quite fortunate with timing. But yeah, I think just having that environment of people your age with similar interests of golf and that sort of competitiveness just made it so much more enjoyable. So I think you just get hooked in on it a lot easier.
No, definitely. So when you moved to Rochford, what was your handicap at?
I remember it being 9, I think.
Okay. So,
yeah,
again,
about 9.
Pretty good. How old were you then?
I must have been must have been turning 15 or
Right, okay.
no, 14, I think. Around 14, I think. Yeah, that must be right. Because then I went to the Lee Westwood Golf College when I was 16 and I was off 5 then.
Right, okay.
Or just turning 16, yeah.
Yeah, you mentioned that earlier. How did you actually get into the Lee Westwood Academy?
So obviously, yeah, I was finishing secondary school, and that was when I was again like the sort of love for the game was sort of growing and seeing myself progress. I can't actually remember where I first heard about the Westwood College, but it was at Stoke-on-Avon, which is only an hour from where I live. So
Yep.
I must have seen it locally. I think it might have even come up at Rochford at the golf club somewhere. So I went up there for an interview and to get shown around the place and see what it was all about. And yeah, I wasn't really, because I was so into golf, I was quite strong academically really, but just compared to playing golf for 2 years, I didn't really like the idea of, I didn't really know what I wanted to do apart from that. So I didn't really like the idea of just going to college for almost the sake of it really. And yeah, at that point, like job wise, still just didn't, I wasn't looking to go straight into any form of work or internship, apprenticeship or anything. So yeah, like went to the golf college, which offered the opportunity of obviously practicing and progressing and staying on site at Stoke-on-Avon. So it's like a big hotel resort with 2 courses, gym and everything like that, good facilities. And you stayed on site in the hotel there, which was at that age was like living the life of luxury.
Yeah, I bet.
It's quite nice. Monday to Friday.
I've been to Stoke-on-Avon. It is a nice little area to be and a nice place to be at as well.
Yeah, it's lovely actually. Yeah, really enjoyed it, and it offered the chance that you would study sports science. You'd come away with like an extended diploma in BTEC in sports science, I think it was. Okay. Yeah, and I just wanted to keep improving my golf, and that was like that's just stood out as the best way to do that over the next couple of years, really.
No, definitely. During your time there, did you actually get to meet Lee, or was his name?
Yeah, I was actually. We got to meet him a few times. So with the college, we'd go to the Dunhill Links tournament every year and Wentworth.
Right. Okay.
So we'd get to meet him as a group, and he'd put on almost like a clinic for us, like a Q&A and hit shots and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So that was cool. But they opened a new facility for the college at Stoke-on-Avon, because there's one in Cheshire as well. But they opened a new facility there, and he come down and opened it.
All right, nice.
And we ran a competition between us all, and I was fortunate enough to win it, where I got to do a TrackMan test against him. Right. So on the range, there's obviously loads of media and cameras and stuff, and all like the parents and members and stuff got invited. And yeah, I was like next to him doing a TrackMan, like little sort of mini wedge test and a combined test. I don't know if you've ever done that before. You done one of those?
No, not on TrackMan, I haven't, no.
Oh, okay. So yeah, we hit like a few shots with wedges, and it was up to like 100 yards, 150 yards, and then driver. It was like a smaller version of it. Right. And you get marked out of 100 on how close you are to the flag, basically distance and line. Okay. So yeah, I got to see that, and I remember I was so nervous, because there was loads of people around watching. That was probably the first time I'd really been exposed to that, and I'll never forget it. The first shot was 50 yards, and all to my in front of me and to my right, only like a few yards away, were like the cameras for like BBC, ITV, stuff like that. Right. And all I could think about was like, just don't hit the cameraman. Yep. It was horrendous. It was like a 50-yard pitch shot. I remember I like semi-duffed it, and I like felt so embarrassed. After that, I actually managed to hit some good shots, and it weren't too bad. But
good stuff.
Yeah, it was a really cool experience meeting him. He's sort of one of your idols growing up that you can watch. To meet him in person and watch him hit shots, and he would sort of give you a bit of banter and stuff in between the shots with the testing and stuff. So yeah, it was really cool.
No, good stuff. Do you still have much contact with him now, or was that just that was the moment and that was it?
I've been quite lucky where I've got a few close friends who do play on the main tour. So I've gone to events with them, or I've actually caddied a few times, and sort of sat there and had lunch with him, or been around the practice area with him and spoke about it since then, which is quite nice. So I have had the chance to speak to him a few times since about it, which is quite cool.
Yeah, that is cool.
But yeah, I wouldn't exactly say I'm texting him every week. I've managed to meet him a few more times, which is nice.
Oh, good stuff. Well, that's a great little story, like a great little way to learn your trade. Obviously, like you said, learning from obviously him turning up to a couple of times at the college and just being somewhere that obviously he's endorsed and the way that he likes to play golf is obviously then pushed down to you guys. So yeah, what a great experience that is.
Yeah, exactly. And that was like my first sort of insight into seeing a top player that close up, really, which was quite cool. Obviously, been to Wentworth and stuff like that, but to actually hit balls next to him and have a proper chat to him was quite like a valuable experience.
No, great stuff. Back in 2014, back at Rochford 100 Golf Club, you played in a tournament there. I can't remember what the tournament was called, but you ended up shooting a 66 and a 67 to win. And back then you were a scratch golfer, and by doing that, by winning that tournament, it pushed you into the plus mark. And just wanting to get your understanding of when you got down to the scratch level, how did you feel about that? And then after that tournament, being told, right, you're now a plus handicapper, what impact did that have in your sort of belief in you as a golfer?
Yeah, it's really cool actually. Thinking back at that, I remember that summer was actually a good summer for me. So that was in the club championship at the golf club. But we had, like I said, we had so many good players there. It was almost like playing a county event.
Yep.
So to shoot them scores, that was probably the first time. That was the first time I'd gone like relatively low back to back, which was quite a big. Like confidence boost, like you said, in like the sort of self-belief, if you like. Like I remember after round one, I think even still in your sort of back of your mind, because you're quite new to it, you're still not fully believing that you can keep pushing on, if you know what I mean. You almost expect there to be a few hiccups, but so that was quite good. And then I remember the weekend after that, there was the Romford Trophy, which was at Romford Golf Club, which was a county event, and I shot 6 under, 5 under there in a 36-hole event. So I had back-to-back weeks. So I think I quickly went from, like I said, scratch to +2, nearly +3 maybe.
Yep.
But yeah, so I remember it because I wasn't really aware of what handicap it got me to until the presentation that evening. I remember it quite well. So yeah, it was quite like I think I was most excited that I knew that it would get me into like the sort of national events and the bigger events. I think at the time I was sort of really on the edge of them and knew that to sort of progress, I needed to start getting into them events and getting my handicap down. But obviously needing like good results to do that. So to have that, I got cut a whole shot for that day and then maybe another shot for next week at Romford. So it happened quite quickly. And all of a sudden it opens up so many, like, again, new opportunities to sort of move up the ladder, new experiences of playing. You probably look to nearly get in a couple of events that are abroad, but even just to get into events like the English Amateur and stuff, you sort of become aware of. So, it was quite exciting. I think at the time, it's a bit different now looking at it. I think back then compared to now there's a lot more people who are off, like, say, +2, +3 comfortably. Rather than back then, if you was also +2, +3, you was considered one of the lowest people in the area comfortably and like even in the country. Whereas now there's guys off +5. Yeah. A lot more guys are +4, 5. And then with this new handicap system, I know a couple of guys are even like +6 and 7. So
wow,
it's changed a little bit then. But to get into the plus back then, I think I remember people around you, really think that you got chances to push on. So yeah, it was quite a big point when you look back at it actually.
No, good stuff. And he said the back-to-back weeks of getting 36 holes under par on both days is, again, another great big booster for you to push on. And like you said, playing in a sort of more national tournament. So, yeah, no, it's really good. It's a really good platform really to push on.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think just always looking to work up the levels, aren't you? So to do it at sort of like the club level and then at county level, and then you're then looking to move on up to the national stuff. So it was at a point where I just felt like I think people always have times where they feel like they almost can't miss. That happened so quickly that summer. Yep. I think I won a couple of county things. And then had sort of a couple of weeks like that. So, it sort of changed quite quickly, really.
No, really good. But after that then, what was the moment for you where you thought, right, now's the time for me to turn pro and really try and forge a career in this game?
The time, so I mean, my last year as an amateur, I played a couple of seasons playing on the Mena tour, which is a professional tour out in the Middle East.
Yeah, I saw that you played in that as an amateur.
Yeah, so a few Essex guys have played in that I knew of, and the opportunity sort of come up to go and join them. And not many people really knew of it then from over here, it seems, like our sort of area. So it was quite, again, a new experience to sort of travel and compete. I'd not really done much of that at that point, especially I hadn't been to that part of the world at all. So no. I went out there, and at that point, I wasn't on the world amateur rankings at all, which you need to be to get into like the Spanish AM, Portuguese AMs, all the bigger stuff. It's not really done on handicap. It's mainly done on world rankings. So I went out there because the category, because it's a professional tournament, the category is a lot higher. So I think you had to finish top 25 to gain a ranking. Whereas say in the events I was able to get into, you'd have to come like top 5.
Right, okay.
So it just opened up a sort of bigger opportunity, one, obviously to learn, but two, to get on the rankings and start to be able to look at the bigger picture, getting the bigger events. So I went out there and actually done pretty well, managed to get my ranking. And then within a year, I think you start at like, I think it's 3,000, or might have been 4,000. And I got down to 275th.
Oh, right, nice.
In a year, just because of how high the category of the events are. So the points are up for grabs are quite strong. So as it was my first year, I was just went flying down the rankings. So all of a sudden, come the end of the year, I looking ahead for next season, I was able to get into all the top events. So I played 1 year as an amateur where I played in St Andrews Links, European AM, British AM, Spanish, Portuguese, French, everything, which was amazing, amazing experience, and had a couple of decent results. It sort of weren't a bad season. And then, there come a point where obviously I'd played a couple of seasons, or quite a few events, like professional events.
Yeah.
It sort of opened your eyes to other opportunities. And at that point, I wasn't getting into the England squad. So I sort of didn't feel like I was far away.
Yeah.
Knew a lot of the guys that were in the squads, and I'd had a couple of the managers watch me at times and been around them at sort of practice rounds, but never really had the results to push on into them. So Walker Cup at that point was sort of a bit further away, and sort of spoke to quite a few pros around me. And I think the sort of the perspective of, I think a lot of people think I think the mentality's changed. There's a lot more people now who are turning pro a lot younger.
Yep.
And gaining a lot more experience from that. So I think I was at that point speaking to the guys around me, where actually the perception of, that would have been amazing. I would love to have represented England and tried to get in the World Cup team. You could sort of stay amateur for another year or two to try and do that. Have good seasons, but still not get into them squads. So you sort of look at it and go, is it better to get ahead of it and get on the professional ladder?
Yeah, I was going to ask that question because a lot of people, pros, again, like you just said, would see playing for the country and in the Walker Cup as the be all and end all of being an amateur golfer. You've got to do it to be able to push on and build a career as a professional golfer. But personally, I don't think you do. I think you can forge a better career by chucking yourself in the deep end, like I mentioned before. And just learning how to play the game and how to be a professional, and not rely on, I played in the Walker Cup or I played for England sort of route. Yeah,
exactly. I think, there was definitely a route where if you got in the England squad and in the Walker Cup team, obviously that opened up a lot of opportunities with sponsorship and starts and things like that, and access to top coaching when you play for England squads. Which is amazing. But I think the perception now about turning pro again is to get in that environment as soon as you can, really, because in the bigger picture, that's where you want to be. So the quicker you can get on the ladder with that, get comfortable competing and work your way up, the better in a way. And I think a lot of people sort of have gone down the route of having their own sort of teams around them in terms of coaching and stuff.
Yeah.
Rather than like the guys who the England coaches are, as good as it gets, really. But I think a lot of people like to almost go off and do their own thing, really, and have like a specific short game coach, putting coach, swing coach, gym coach, and stuff like that. So I think people just start to form their own journeys when they're aware of that there's different ways to get to where they want to get to.
Yeah, you're seeing that a lot more now, which I think is possibly a better route to go down than holding out just in case you get into the Walker Cup team. I don't know. That's just my
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's definitely no like right or wrong way.
No.
Probably the best way to look at it. I've had a few friends lately who are in a position where they could turn pro and, you know, probably do really well straight off the bat, or they're in a position where they can get in England squads and look to push on to Walker Cup. I think some of it does depend on the timing of that and when Walker Cup's coming. And if you think that, because if it's say another year and a half away, if you've just missed the last one, then it's a long time to wait.
Yeah.
To then not get in the team. So it depends where you're at. Really, timing's quite important, isn't it?
No, definitely. Okay, so how old were you when you turned pro?
What am I now? 20. That's a really good point. I'm 24. I turned pro and I was 22.
Okay, so you've been a pro then now.
So this would be my
2 years.
my third year. Yeah.
Okay, great stuff. So when you turned pro, then what was your plan? Did you? I know you play a bit on the mini tours here in the UK. But obviously, you've been out to played in the Mena tour out in the Middle East as well. What was your plan when you turned pro? Did you think, right, that's where I want to play, so I'm going to go and do this?
Yeah, I think having what I felt like done quite well and sort of measured up my game on the Mena tour for a couple of years as an amateur, I felt like turning pro on there, it was a tour that I could, you know, really compete on, and that was sort of comfortable around knowing the sort of types of courses and the environment. So I was fortunate where there's a category where, because of where I finished as an amateur, I had an exemption as for when I turned pro, so I would have a card.
Right. Okay.
So I had that straight off the bat, which was nice to sort of have some form of playing status.
Yep.
To get going with. So that was good. And then, in the first year, went to EuroPro Q school, got all the way through there pretty comfortably in the end, really, which is quite nice. So I earned a full card there. So then all of a sudden I had sort of my whole year covered, because obviously EuroPro was through the summer, Mena tour was through the winter. So it was great to have a whole year of playing. And then sort of in between that, I'd look to fill the gaps. In my first year, I was just looking to play as much competitively, obviously within reason, as I could, really.
No,
just try and build up as much experience, open up as many opportunities. So play some TP Tour, Jamega Tour, and then obviously done stuff like open qualifying. And then in my first year, done a European Tour Q School as well.
Okay.
So planned for that at the end of the year. So yeah, sort of wanted to keep as many options as I can to sort of move up.
It's a pretty jam-packed year.
Yeah, it was actually. Yeah, it was really busy. Which you look back at it and you can say you might have done it differently and sort of planned a little bit more. But then I think at that time you just want to get stuck in.
Yeah. Like I said, just want to play as much competitive golf as possible. Again, it's all about that environment and feeling comfortable where you are, isn't it? So the more you can play in that type of arena, you're going to settle down a little bit easier. Yeah,
absolutely. So yeah, that was the first year, and it felt like it was quite a solid year. Kept my card on the Mena tour. What did I do on EuroPro? EuroPro, I did actually miss my card, but kept a category.
Okay.
So it wasn't, the end of the world. So kept a category on that. I didn't get through first stage of Q school, but it all sort of come around quite last minute, to be honest. So my preparation for that wasn't ideal. But again, it was something that I just wanted to get as much experience under my belt as I could as soon as I can, really. So, it was a bit of a learning curve for what would be my next experience of it. At least I've got one in the belt now.
Yeah. So you can prepare for the next one when it does come round eventually. I'm pretty sure, hopefully a couple more months, we'll be out there again, back on the tours. And you can take all that experience and move on to the next season. So no, good. Well done. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, definitely.
Cool. So one of the questions I've got is so you're, I don't know if you still are part of it, but you were part of the Zane Scotland Academy.
Yep.
And I just want to know how did that come across? Obviously, so you had the Lee Westwood College that you've obviously done all your achievements as an amateur. You've turned pro, played in the Mena Tour. I know Zane plays on the Mena Tour as well. Is that where that relationship come from?
Yeah, exactly that. So I worked with Zane for a couple of years, and that come from meeting him seeing him around the Mena Tour, meeting him on there, and then a friend of mine, one of my close mates, Todd, he started seeing him for coaching.
Yep.
And then at that point, I was sort of, obviously, like you said, just always looking to improve, and was obviously intrigued by Zane because of his playing career and stuff, and always quite liked the idea of having a coach who was a player as well, so you can sort of learn off their playing experiences. And I just found that was the route I preferred, with it being a little bit more relatable. So yeah, got in touch with Zane, and yeah, started working with him, and obviously getting involved in the academy. That was right at the start of it, actually. So Todd started seeing him. There was a few of us. There's probably 4 or 5 of us at the start who started seeing him at sort of a similar time, and then from there, that was where the sort of, I suppose the academy and like the Monday club and everything started. Yeah. We had like a real good group of players. It was all sort of like a similar sort of time in their journey and playing similar events. So we had a really competitive environment.
And like you said, his wealth of knowledge from his own playing experiences. Obviously, everyone knows what he did. Obviously, being the youngest player to ever qualify for the Open and all that type of stuff. Yeah. So, and obviously, him still being a playing professional as well as a teaching professional, I think is weight in gold, really.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's really, really important. Like the advantage of having a coach who's a player as well is obviously understanding what a player needs and when they need it.
Yep.
Having learned from experiences themselves, and it almost adds like a bit of a mentor aspect to it. And I think as a player, you buy into it more if your coach has sort of played as at a top level and had those experiences of where you want to get to.
Yeah, I was going to say, do you see him as a mentor then as well? Because, like, yeah, you've hit the nail on the head there. You do see him as a mentor, and it's saying you aspire to be him, basically, and where he is. Yeah, like
it wasn't just offering sort of technical knowledge. It would be changing the way you practice, like your structure and your practice, more performance stuff. And then he was sort of the first person that instigated like building your sort of own team around me. So that was when I started seeing a guy called Charlie in the gym, and sort of saw someone for putting and things like that. And just having a coach you can go out on the course with and can see you play at tournaments. Obviously having him at the Mena tour was really helpful.
Yep.
Yeah, so just seeing you in that competitive environment, I think a lot of coaches maybe don't get to see their players in a competitive environment enough, actually on the tournament. So it's really vital, I think, just to see the little details of maybe what things can break down and whatnot.
No, definitely. So obviously you can say you're enjoying being part of the Zane Scotland Academy then.
Yeah, well, I'm not fully a part of that now.
Yeah.
I worked with Zane for 2 years, which was great. He obviously helped me improve a lot. This was at the time where I first got my world ranking, and he helped me get it down to, I got to 275 and a little bit lower. So he really helped me progress as I turned pro, and it was a big part in my decision of turning pro, in fairness. So he opened my eyes to a few like I said, different ways of practicing and introducing that team around me. But yeah, so at the moment I'm actually seeing Simon Kahn.
Okay.
I don't know if you know Simon. He's based at Hanbury.
Yep.
He's based at Hanbury as well. So again, sort of on the same aspect of having that coach who's been a player or is still a player themselves, sort of stuck on that route of things.
Now, One Pod Life is brought to you in partnership with Energy Golf, the leading golf development platform. They are committed to providing a service that allows you to reach your maximum potential by improving your mindset, creating physical longevity, and funding your golf career. What they've done is take professional tour team experience and brought it to you through their platform so you can have your very own tour team in your pocket. Energy Golf offers the ability to learn from leading professionals in the fields of fitness, nutrition, breathing, caddying, psychology, business, as well as proven tour winners and many more. There are also courses based around the mental aspects of golf, such as mental toughness, emotional control, and self-esteem. Visit energy.com to learn more, and to claim your exclusive 1-month free trial, simply send an email with the subject OnePodLife to info@energy.com and enjoy. Now let's get back to the podcast. Obviously, we said at the beginning, you're a lucky boy because you're out and about traveling around at the moment when a lot of us are stuck indoors. And you're over in sort of the Middle East, Saudi Arabia area at the moment, and you're doing what looks like quite a bit of good training. I just wanted to know, what is it you're specifically working on at the moment when you're out there?
So at the moment, this winter's been it's been a lot of focus on building my speed for me, especially with driver.
Okay.
So I've always been pretty straight. Like my strength's probably being very straight off the tee, but to be honest, just don't hit it. Wasn't hitting it far enough to compete, obviously, the level I want to get to, especially with the way the game's going.
Yep.
So, yeah, a lot of it's been revolved around speed training, which was a few different aspects of a couple of technical things. So with my coach, Simon, and with the help of, I went and saw a guy called Lee Cox, who's based at the Shire.
Yeah. He does all the long drive. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, he's brilliant. So I've seen him a couple of times. So I went there with Simon, my coach, and Charlie Marshall, who I see in the gym. So I had like sort of my team there, and we sort of put together ideas of make sure I'm getting the most out of matching up what I'm doing in the gym with Charlie, the program I've got there, and then the sort of speed training and the technical aspects with Simon and Lee, just sort of making sure we're on the same page. So we're doing a lot of speed training, a lot of gym work, which has been good actually. Yeah, seen some really good improvements with it. And then, alongside that, just obviously the benefits of being out, luckily where I am in the Middle East, is a lot of them have really good short game areas and pitching areas. So just getting really dialed in on sort of different shots, different lies, distance control and stuff, just keeping that really sharp. So they're probably my two main areas of focus at the moment.
Okay, no, good stuff. No, it's good to hear. And I really enjoyed listening to your story so far and where you are today. And it's just a shame that you had a break in your career, obviously with what's going on in the world at the moment. And like you've had that first year as a professional, and you've learned a hell of a lot from the sounds of it, from jam packing all that stuff into 1 year. So hopefully, like I said, when you get back out again, playing properly, you'll be able to forge on pretty well.
Yeah, hopefully so. Obviously, we don't really know when that time may come yet. But I feel like I used last year really productively in improving my game, and feel like my game's probably in the best place it's ever been, which is always nice. I feel like I've improved a lot year on year. So hopefully when the opportunities come to compete, we can start putting some results together and moving up the ladder.
No, definitely. All you can do is just look at how you can improve in those small little areas, and it looks like you're doing that with spades. So well done.
Yeah, thanks, mate. Appreciate it.
That's all right. Let's go move on to a quick fire questions section. I've not done this for a while, so I'm going to fire a few questions out then. So
this will be interesting.
So of all the people you ever played with, all golfers, who would you say is the best golfer you've ever played with?
The best golfer I've ever played with? In terms of merit or just actually watching them play?
Either, really. All-round best golfer, I guess.
Played against Eddie Pepperell and Laurie Cantor in the Sunningdale foursomes. That was really good. That was a good experience. We actually managed to beat him on a playoff hole, which is quite a funny story. But the actual experience of playing with him was great. Alongside that, you got to pick one, haven't you? I guess.
Yeah.
I'd probably say Eddie Pepperell.
Okay, good stuff. And what was the funny story then? How you beat him?
Well, there was a big rain delay. So after like 6-7 holes, there's a massive rain delay and it got suspended to the next day. So at that time, we were just playing against them two and they were carrying their own bags. And then we turned up the next day and they had the full-time caddies on and tour bags. So we was like, all right, like they mean business here. And then we got down the last and Laurie had like a 2-foot putt for the win and he missed it. He lipped out.
Oh, wow.
Which obviously we didn't see happening. And then, I remember hitting like a pretty unbelievable bunker shot in the playoff hole to like an inch to win, basically. But it was just like they're really good guys. We had like a real good fun like couple of days.
No, good stuff. Okay, what would be your dream 4-ball?
Tiger, Hogan, and it's a tough one. Does it have to be golfers?
No, it could be whoever you want.
I'm going to go a bit rogue here. I'm going to go... Oh, no, I don't know. Michael Jordan.
Michael Jordan, okay, that's a good one.
Yeah.
That's a good little 4-ball there.
Interesting to talk to, some career that, isn't it?
No, exactly. Okay, your favourite yardage to hit into a green?
75.
Okay, and what club would you use for that?
I would use a 52, but it'd be like 9 o'clock, like half, like left arm. I have it like left arm parallel to ground. It's like half swing, basically. Okay. I like to fly it in a little bit lower.
So with that in mind, is that the number you always try and sort of get to off the tee, obviously on a par 4, or even if you had to lay up, would that be the number you try?
Yeah, if I was say laying up on a par 5, I'd be looking to hit around that mark. Yeah.
Yeah, no, good stuff. Okay, then what's your favourite type of shot to play?
I love like a little knockdown, hold up fade, like with an iron.
Okay.
Just like going up a club and just hitting like a soft one and feeding it in off the left.
Nice.
Suits my eye, that sort of shot.
Would you?
Nice and controlled.
Yeah. So with that in mind, would you try and play that a lot, or is that just when the decision needs to be made?
I would play it quite a lot, actually. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd play it most with most iron shots, just in terms of controlling the flight and the distance, really.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, good. That's what it's interesting to ask, because obviously some people have a favourite shot, but it might not come up every now and then. It's an idea. Would you play it on purpose because you actually like playing that shot? Don't know.
Yeah, it's just a shot that I find really reliable, to be honest.
No, good stuff. Okay.
Yeah.
And the last one is, what's the best course you've ever played on?
The best course, because of just like the scenery and taking it all in. I played Concierge the day after the tour event was there.
Right, okay.
So all the stands were up. It was like 25 degrees, clear blue skies. It was unbelievable, yeah. Really enjoyed it. And then apart from that, probably I love playing Kings Barnes.
Okay.
I really enjoyed that, yeah. There's so many, but yeah, Kings Barnes is definitely up there.
Good stuff. Okay. Well, thank you for asking the quick fire questions.
Yeah, so, what would your thoughts be?
When I went to Dubai, I played, I was quite lucky. I played the Earth course a week before the Race to Dubai final. So again, all the stands are up. They made us walk it as well. I couldn't use a buggy, which was great.
Oh, that must have been brutal.
Yeah, it was. And that was about 35-degree heat. So yeah, no, that's for me the best course.
Best of times.
Yeah. Well, I hit my handicap on a day, so I was pretty happy. I think I was 10 over.
There, yeah.
So I was pretty happy.
Yeah, that's not bad round there.
Well, I wasn't off the back, so I was off the standard tees.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Still, it's not a bad. It's a pretty good knock. He's pretty penal around there.
Yeah.
I'm going to quickly change what I've said there.
Right, okay.
I'm going to swap Kings Barnes out, and I'm going to sub Hankley Common in.
Right, okay.
That's my go-to place. Love it there.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Okay. And then the last part of the podcast is the reason why I started doing it was to get to understand what life is like a pro and the journey people take, because they're all individual and they're all unique, which I think is great. But then also to understand, if you were to give an aspiring amateur some tips on how they could become a pro and the things they should be doing, what would they be? So if you give 3 tips to anyone, what would they be?
I would say just to build build a really good team around you. So sort of get on your own little journey. Try not to focus on too much on what other people are doing or how they might be doing on their sort of journey if they're like fellow golfers. So I think, get your own team around you, get really clear on, what your goals are, how, where you want to get to. And then one thing I found that really helped was just like breaking them down from there. So having daily goals, weekly goals, monthly goals, and just ticking off, just trying to improve that 1% every day. And, over time, that sort of pays dividends, really. Yeah. So, get a really good team around you, all sort of experts in their areas. And, sort of just stay focused on, your job and your journey and what you need to do, really.
Okay, cool. Any sort of like technical tips you'd give people?
Technical?
Sorry, not more technical, more like practice or how you should go about doing things. Or would that all come from building your own team?
Yeah, it'd be similar. Like, I think structure is really key. So, structuring your practice, what you're going to do is to have like a technique part, a block technique part, a block of like developing skills. So, for example, shot shaping or different flights, different shots, and then an element of testing. So, putting yourself under pressure, getting yourself really uncomfortable, getting out your comfort zone. I think structure and accountability, being really honest with yourself with that, recording your results. I think that's probably the biggest advice I'd give. Like, an example of that is like every day I do like a tick list and I write down things I'm going to do in practice, what I want to achieve, little goals and the tests, and sort of tick them off or obviously cross them off in the evening. At least you're then accountable for what you're doing day in, day out for the bigger picture.
Okay, I like that. That's good. Like I say, it's just ticking off those 1% and they all make up to the 100 and off you go.
Yeah, Yeah, exactly. I think obviously if you just have the goal of everyone wants to be a European Tour winner or a major winner or etc. But I think you need to break that down into achievable things day in, day out, things that you're fully in control of doing. And then I think over time, if you've got a good structure and a good team around you, and obviously you put the work in, that goes a long way.
No, definitely. Fantastic. Well, Taylor, thank you very much for coming on the podcast and like I said, give us your time while you're traveling around. And
that's all right. Absolute pleasure. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you. Cheers. And good luck while you're out there with the training. And
thanks. Appreciate that.
And
we'll try and catch up for a game at Hanbury when I'm back.
Oh, 100%. I'd love to come down there and play with you.
Sounds good.
Mate.
Brilliant.
Fantastic. Thanks very much.
Take care. All the best.
Cheers, mate. Bye. So, big thank you to Taylor Carstairs coming on and taking some time out of his schedule while he was out in Saudi to record this podcast. Really appreciate him doing that. I hope you guys took some value from that as well and learned how he progressed through his career and how you could possibly do it yourselves. And like I said, I apologise for the lack of podcasts recently, but like I said, we're back on track. I've got a few more lined up for you to come out in the next couple of weeks, so keep your eyes peeled. In the meantime, thank you for listening. Don't forget to head over to Instagram to follow my page, One Putt Life. Don't forget to share this with your friends and family if they're interested in knowing what it takes to become a professional golfer. So once again, thank you for listening and speak to you again soon.